Well, now to global entertainment and culture news. Judita Del Silva joins us live from London. Hello, Judita. Great to have you on the news tonight.
Always a smooth.
Well, let's start off tonight with music. The next star to take to the Super Bowl halftime stage as the headlining performer has been announced, and it comes as no surprise to some, but to MAGA supporters, there is outrage. So, Judita, who is it, and why the mixed reaction?
First of all, I think it would be remiss of me to start talking about entertainment without sending our condolences from everyone here in Arise London office and across Arise Play to Somi and her family. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of them, and we hope they get some resolution as soon as possible. But to the story at hand, the selected artist is Bad Bunny. And it's when you think about the recent ICE raids and the immigration issues happening in America, that is why MAGA is in uproar, because we know since Apple took over from Pepsi and Jay-Z is on the panel deciding the artists, this is a decision that is under the Jay-Z umbrella. So a lot of heat is coming their way. But when you look at the actual other side of the arguments, you've got a lot of people who are very happy because Bad Bunny said that this is something that has happened because it's a legacy of a lot of people who've passed on the torch and laid the groundwork for him, a Spanish-speaking Latin artist who predominantly performs in Spanish, is going to be doing the most watched musical performance in the world, which is the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yes, Judita, thank you very much for that. Now, there's always debate about who should be chosen and if they have a career that justifies them, being there. So is Bad Bunny seen as worthy of this honor?
I mean, I've simply put 100%. This is a man that 3 of the past 5 years, he is the most streamed artist in the world. His English is his second language. He has no desire to change that. He raps and sings predominantly in Spanish. He was the first person to have a Spanish-speaking album get to the top of the Billboard Hot 100. That is the mainstream charts, which normally people would think would be English music. So he's broken down a lot of barriers. And when you just look at the broad spec of his fan base, it is immeasurable. And during the Trump campaign, where there was a lot of targeted attacks of the Latin community, him being from Puerto Rico, he's really stepped up. And with his current tour, he said that he's not going to have any dates in the US because he's worried about ICE raids against his fans in the audience. But he will venture into the US on February 8th to do this performance. So this is a very socio-political and also timely moment for him in his career.
Well, let's talk about somebody very familiar with Nigeria and the rest of the global community, Tiwa Savage. She caused the stir last week, and it continued well into the weekend as more people in Africa caught wind over her comments about the South African singer Tyla. While she was on an American radio show, Julita, I have comments to make, but go ahead. I mean, go ahead. What did you make of that?
I need to hear them from you both. So, oh gosh, Tiwa Savage goes on the Breakfast Club, very long time, very popular radio show in America with Charlemagne the God, DJ Envy, and Jess Hilarious. And Lauren LaRosa asked her a question about Tyla, that infamous thing that we've even talked about, where they asked her about referring to herself as colored, which is a term that's used in South Africa, but in America, it is a very potent racial term. And Tyla looked to her people instead of just answering the question, and it became a whole thing. They asked Tiwa Savage about it. And long story short, she ends up doing the Nigerian auntie thing. Like when we get in trouble, our elders go and say, listen, I apologize for my niece or my daughter or my son. And she said sorry for Tyla, even though Tyla never said sorry herself. Since last week, it takes time. First, it's an American show. It has trickled down to Africa. And people won't let this go. The South Africans are in uproar that who is she to apologize for Tyla when Tyla did nothing wrong? Tyla then performs at Global Citizen Festival and seems to throw shade at Tiwa, where she makes this random comment in the middle of a performance saying, sorry, not sorry. So it's kind of a bit of egg on Tiwa's face for inserting herself into a conversation she need not have participated in. And now you've got this whole uproar where yet again, the South Africans try to score jabs against Nigerians.
And the question that's being asked is, why are Tyla and Tiwa Savage beefing? What exactly is this? Or is this just a storm in a teacup? Or does this speak to a greater, problem when it comes to relations between Nigerians and, of course, South Africans? And the ever-looming shadow of xenophobia?
It is. It's kind of stoked that fire up again. And let's be honest, like, this is not a unique thing to us. The New Zealand people argue with the Australians. Indians argue with the Pakistanis. Spanish people argue with the Catalans. It is just a thing that happens. And our, woeful enemy, it used to be the Ghanaians, now it's the South Africans. But what it speaks to is that the issue that a lot of people are talking about in this instance and in other instances, like what we saw with the beauty pageants, is why is there such zeal for South Africans to attack Nigerians? If you would take a bird's eye view of your existential status in South Africa, you've got bigger problems that are pretty much homegrown. Nigerians are not the issue, but it seems like misdirected anger. And also, even when it comes to music, which Tiwa Savage is in, on our side of the pond, on this side of the Atlantic, when people talk about African music, they immediately talk about Nigeria. South Africans have an issue with that. They take umbrage with that. But there is no point in doing so, because it only serves to split what could be a unified juggernaut of consolidated power.
There's no better way of putting it, Juditha.
Yeah, but Juditha, why I appreciate what Tiwa tried to do, for me, I think, just mind your business. I love Tiwa. Yeah. I wish she could have just stayed out of that conversation and asked them to ask Tyla the question whenever they saw her. Simple and short, and not get herself into this muddy waters of who appointed you the elder of Africa,
Yeah.
But the key thing that I think is also great to notice is that this is a timely reminder. Even though we're all Africans, we are disparate cultures.
Yeah.
That whole thing about big aunties speaking for me, that's a Nigerian thing. South Africans are different. So the way, if any auntie is my auntie, any mum is my mum, that's a Nigerian thing. And they don't receive it the way we receive it. They get offended by it, where you and I get moved by it. So recognize that we are Africa, but we are disparate peoples within Africa.
Okay.
All right, we'll have to leave it here. That's all from Arise correspondent Juditha Da Silva in London.